Hey, what's going on with you guys, man? My name is Chris, and in this video, we're going to talk about interactive brokers. Ha ha ha. Because coffee is a magic, bro. Coffee is super magic. I hope you guys are doing fantastic. My name is Chris, and in this video, I'm going to be talking to you guys about the main pros and cons of interactive brokers. One of the most highly rated stockbrokers in the entire world for multiple years. And there's good reasons for that. I think that they're a very good broker. Now, full disclosure, this content is provided to you by an influencer of interactive brokers, meaning that I get paid every time you click on the link down below in my description. However, this video is not being reviewed by anybody, meaning that I get to say whatever I want. And if I say something that might be out of line, maybe I'll lose my sponsorship. But let's not try and do that. So what I'm gonna do is give you my honest opinion, no filter. And hopefully I don't lose the sponsorship. So in this video, I'm giving you the real pros and cons of interactive brokers. Everything I've learned in the last 4 years, basically, because I started using them. I think it was at the beginning, the very beginning of the year 2020. I think I opened my account towards the end of the year 2019, if I'm not mistaken, my very first account. Since then, I have opened 3 accounts with interactive brokers in total. Actually, 2 on top of the original, so 3 in total. 1 other margin account on top of the first account, and I've opened an institutional account also. Most recently, this was done within the last 12 months. So I have some experience opening institutional accounts, and I guess that's the first thing we'll talk about here is account opening. How is the process of opening an account with interactive brokers? And I'll tell you, it's not easy. There's paperwork. You got to put in a bunch of information. You got to submit documents. You got to do KYC. KYC is a term for basically identity verification. If you trade crypto, you know what that is. Filling out documents and answering questions, and it's not done once the account is open, by the way, because once you start getting the trading platforms operational, there's other things you got to fill out, like market data forms, but that's something extra, and that's pretty common in the trading industry. It could take you a few days to get through the whole process. Now, why is that a paradox? Because when you have an open account with IB, I would argue in some ways it's a bit of a privilege. Now, I don't want to sound like Mr. Hotshot over here, but having a trading account where you can trade on margin, you can utilize your assets as collateral to trade other assets. That's called trading on leverage or trading on margin. That in itself is a privilege. There's a reason why they call it margin privileges, and there's a reason why a margin account is considered more advanced than a cash account. If you guys want to watch a video where I explain the margin account, go check it out here in the corner. It's pretty good. It got a lot of views and stuff. But if you like this video, this one's actually better. So just give the like down below right here before going to that one. Now, leverage is for experienced investors only. So if you're a beginner, I would definitely spend some time reading the Reddit forums about margin accounts, how they work, and also go and watch my margin video, because that's a very good video, I would say. One of the good things about IB is that there's really no account minimums for opening an account. There are minimums for market data. There are minimums for margin capabilities. In my country, the minimum net liquidity you need to enable a margin account is $2,000 US. If your net liquidity drops below that number, your account pretty much becomes a cash account and you can't trade on margin anymore. So if you're planning on only depositing about $1,000 and you want to use margin, just letting you know you will not be able to. You need 2,000 USD to even enable margin. Even if you have a margin account, your margin capabilities get deactivated, okay? Now, there used to be a minimum for market data, although they pretty much removed that. It might be 500 USD to initiate a subscription to market data if you've never done it before. Although if your account balance drops below 500 USD and you're already subscribed to market data, they're not going to cut you off. It's very unlikely. In general, one of the main reasons why people gravitate towards IB, especially in Canada and in some other international countries, is because they offer access to the electronic markets for very low fees, very low commission fees, trading fees. And they don't have account minimums, like I said. So IB's one of the best brokers, I would say, internationally. That's mostly what they're known for. In countries where they don't have access to some of the brokers in the USA. So they have to go with a broker that's regulated all over the place. IBKR is one of these brokers that has gone out of their way to become regulated in all kinds of different countries. So as a Canadian, I'm the prime example of this. Before I used interactive brokers, I was using a broker named Questrade. I also used TD Direct Investing and a couple others. And really, it's night and day. IBKR compared to those Canadian brokers is pretty much absolutely night and day in terms of the trade commission fees you're going to pay, in terms of the capabilities of the trading software, in terms of the analytics that you're going to be able to pull out of this stuff. It's really night and day. There's no comparison. Now, for sure, there's some benefits to those other brokers too, because generally there's ups and downs to everything. One thing I remember about TD Direct Investing is that they actually provided market data for the Toronto Stock Exchange pretty much for free, but really nothing is for free. Because, you know, when you have money with them, they're kind of using your capital to do different things. So nothing's really truly free. I'll just talk a bit about moving funds around using IBKR, and then I'm going to go over to the software aspect of it, because a lot of you guys ask me questions about what software do you recommend? Do you recommend their new desktop app? Okay. But before that, let's talk about moving funds. In general, I've had a very good experience moving funds around using Interactive Brokers. And what that means is funding my account using my Canadian checking account, funding my account using other providers. Wise is one of these providers that I use for international cross-border banking, as they call it. So I can get paid into my Wise account, and then from Wise to Interactive Brokers is very easy. I've done videos on that. You can check it out in the corner. And so overall, funding Interactive Brokers in US dollars and Canadian dollars has been very easy for me. Also paying out. So withdrawing has also been extremely easy. You're allowed one free withdrawal out of Interactive Brokers per month. And then after that, they charge you, I think it's a $10 fee for a wire withdrawal. This is a wire transfer withdrawal. And that's in Canadian or in USD, doesn't really matter which one. I find that the USD wire transfers with Interactive Brokers are always very fast. It takes a couple of hours for it to arrive to its destination. I fund one of my other futures brokers from my Interactive Brokers account, normally with a wire transfer, and it's always very fast. And I like that they give you one free wire transfer per month withdrawal, and there's no fees to deposit in, but you'll normally pay for a wire transfer from the place that you're sending it from. So if I send a wire from Wise to IB, there is a small fee there. Or if you send from another broker to IB, there's a small fee there normally, okay? Now we'll talk later about currency conversion and how easy that is, but let's talk about the software stuff first. I personally use TWS. It's called Trader Workstation. It's their main legacy desktop application that they've had for many years already. And I'll tell you why I like it. I also use the client portal when I need to log in and print out statements or look at anything that the client portal specifically provides, mostly statements and fund transfers. And the third app that I use is the mobile app, IBKR Mobile. I want to be clear, it's not IBKR Global Trader, it's IBKR Mobile. It's the more advanced one. I did one video on that way back. You can check it out there. But honestly, I find IBKR Mobile is a very good application. Now, there's another application that's more recent from IBKR. It's called IBKR Desktop. Now, I'll be 100% honest with you guys. I have not played with it that much, and I do not recommend it. And I'll tell you why I do not recommend it. The main reason is because I do not recommend software that is new. I like to use stable software because it's in a stable state. It's as simple as that. Now I find that some of you guys, when you're first getting into this stuff, you tend to gravitate towards the newest, shiniest thing that you see. And I kind of understand that, but I want to tell you one thing from the perspective of a trader, and also I'm interested in software development. I think you're gonna have a much better experience using software that's already considered stable rather than gravitating towards things that are still being developed, okay? I am saying that it's still too new, in my opinion, for me to start jumping in and testing it. So me personally, I use TWS exclusively when it comes to getting data for stock options and also getting fundamental stock data or any of the other analytics that TWS provides. And I'll show you some of those analytics now. So I'm already logged in here to TWS on my laptop here. I'm on Linux, but it works on Mac, Windows, and Linux. Doesn't really matter. I find it runs pretty good on Linux depending on which display manager you're using. But it doesn't matter. It looks the same no matter which operating system you're on. Okay. Now, what's really good about TWS, some of you guys find it very cumbersome and complicated, but all you have to do is get to know some of the main windows that it offers. So if you're trading options, you're gonna pull up the options chain. This is what an options chain looks like. You might pull up a chart or a time and sales. One of my favorite windows is the quote monitor, and I have a video for that too up in the corner. And what the quote monitor allows you to do basically is put in symbols as if it's a watch list, but also see your open positions and manage your open existing orders all from the same window. So if I have this symbol right here, SPY, I can place an order right from the quote monitor and see my orders and control them from here. And submit new ones if I needed to, okay? So that's one of the main advantages of that particular window called the quote monitor. And the way you get windows in TWS is very easy. At the top left, you go up to new window and you'll see pretty much everything here. Now, one way that I use TWS and also on IBKR Mobile is their economic calendar. I find that they have a very good economic calendar, and it contains a lot of items that are not found in other economic calendars I've found. I also use another economic calendar called Forex Factory. So if you go up to new window, information system, calendar, and find the event calendar, that will give you what looks like this right here. I already have a template created for it, but this is their event calendar. And it shows you today's economic events if you want. This is the economic events, but this is what the calendar looks like. And you can filter it based on watch list, portfolio. If you do what I do, you pretty much just look at the economic calendar to find out when the bond auctions are, if you're trading US Treasuries, things like that. And I find that this is a very good calendar, and it can keep you up to date with what's going on or certain events. Some of you guys who are new, you may not necessarily understand why an economic calendar is important, so I can give you a quick crash course on that. It's basically what I believe is that a lot of the economic events that hit the calendar is kind of an excuse for the market to do something. It can sometimes act as a catalyst. So we're talking about macroeconomic data reports that come out, like CPI, jobless claims, bond auctions, treasury auctions, things like that. They cause the market to move. Sometimes it's an excuse for a particular trade setup to play out. You understand what I'm saying? So if you're trading futures and if you're trading stocks, potentially pre-market, you kind of want to have a general feel for what the economic calendar looks like, because it gives you a feel for what the trading week looks like, So I really like their economic calendar. You can also get it on IBKR Mobile. Another widget that I would use in TWS is their Fundamentals Explorer, which is honestly a pretty impressive tool. So you go up to New Window, Fundamentals Explorer, and you can pretty much input any stock in here, and it'll give you all kinds of this fundamental information, including balance sheets of the company, and basically whatever's here. There's all these different tabs here that you can go ahead and play with. Now they're always adding new features. Like if you go over here to Discover, you'll find some of these new items here that they recently added. When it comes to trading, okay, let's talk a bit about trading TWS. Now I'm going to do a video talking about trading options and how to kind of do it efficiently. I've been doing it for a few years, so I kind of understand some of the more logical ways to navigate in this software. But really, there's only a few main ways that I would recommend trading in this software. And it's either using something called a chart trader, which is trading off of the chart here. So you have a chart and then you attach some buttons at the bottom. Or you can right click on the chart and do buy and sell that way as well. Another way you can trade is directly using a quote board, a quote monitor like this. Maybe you have another monitor with your charts on it, and then you go into the quote board, you have your options here, or your stocks, or your Forex pairs, and then you go ahead into your quote monitor and you just start submitting your orders and your bracket orders from here, and you manage them all using that quote monitor. I personally find that to be one of the most efficient ways to manage your orders and existing positions. Another thing you can do is, let's say you're a trader that trades options and you have lots of different option spread positions in your account all at once. I've seen this because I talk to people. So what you'll do is you'll see them all in your portfolio right here. So if you don't see your portfolio, you can go to New Window Portfolio. It's pretty much the top item, or one of the top items under General Tools. You can click on positions in your portfolio, right click on them, and then you should get some items like this. One of them is Create Target Stop Exit Bracket. So you go under Trade, and then you'll see items like this where you can choose to submit an exit order or create a target and stop exit bracket for that particular position. This can be helpful if you're the type of trader that has all kinds of different options positions in your account and you potentially want to submit orders to close some of them, reduce the position size, or maybe even increase the position size. I'll briefly cover options trading. If you use an options chain along with a quote monitor, your options trading experience can improve drastically. Because you can go ahead and drag in individual option legs or entire spreads and strategies into a quote monitor and then submit the orders for execution to trade them using the quote monitor. So an example of that would be like this. So I have an options chain right here. Let's say I'm trading Apple options. I can go ahead and just click and drag on whichever side, either the call side or the put side. Let's say I want to drag in this 170 call. I'll click and drag on either the bid or ask column here. I will click and drag. And now I can go ahead and see the time and sales for that option. I don't have real-time data, but the real-time data for this is very inexpensive. I think it's like $1 or $2 per month if you're a non-professional subscriber. Once it's there, go ahead and start submitting orders on it. You know, let's say I wanted to buy this option. I just put in a limit order, buy 3 contracts, transmit it, then you'll get an order confirmation window. Now, if you don't have market data in your IBKR account, you will always most probably get this warning, and I have not found a way to turn it off. It's basically telling you you're trying to submit an order without having market data for this instrument. It's recommended, I mean, if you're gonna be trading options on IBKR, you pretty much want the data. You wanna go and get the market data for options. Like I said, it's inexpensive and it will allow you to get rid of this message, and you'll also see what the last traded price was, which is what you should probably know if you're trading. Okay, like I said to you guys, I'm not really an options trader these days. I'm more of a futures trader. If you guys get value out of this content, let me know with a comment down below, and check out Interactive Brokers using the first link down below in the description. And that's an easy way to return the favor if you enjoyed these videos and they help out. Thank you. So when you're talking about TWS and you're trading options, I just pretty much showed you how it's done. If you want to trade spreads, you go down to their options chain at the bottom where it says Strategy Builder. You turn it on. And then from there, you can start clicking on whichever options you want to add to a spread. Now there's other options, like if I maximize the options chain, you'll see here at the bottom right, it actually gives you pre-configured strategies. You can do this if you understand what kind of spread you want. You can just go ahead and create it yourself. So let's say you wanted to sell the 170 call and buy the 175 call. You would do exactly what I did there. Click on the bid on the 170 and then click on the ask on the 175, and you can see it populate the spread. It calls it a bear call spread, and then you'll see a quote for it at the bottom here. You can also transmit your order directly from here. It'll also tell you a margin impact, which in this case says 500 USD. Performance profile is like a probabilistic expectancy for what this spread will do based on what the market does, and I find this window a little bit interesting. I would recommend watching it or just looking at it if you're interested in that, but I'll close it for now. And then let's say you have your spread ready to go. You can click on add to watch list, and it'll tell you that the contract was added to the quote monitor with the name trader in that case. I'll minimize it, and you can see that in my quote monitor, here is the bear call spread I just created. So that's an example of how to add a spread, an option spread to a watch list. All right, let's move on and talk about margins, guys. Margins are a double-edged sword in a lot of ways, no matter which broker you use. But I think margins are a double-edged sword with IB for a few different reasons. Let's talk about it right now. So I already have a video talking exclusively about how margin trading works. So I want to give you a few reasons why I think margin with IBKR is good and bad, depending on which markets you're trading. I personally find it's good for trading large cap, mid cap stocks, as well as options. It's pretty good. For futures, not my favorite personally. I find that they have high margins. They call it risk-based margin, which means that they calculate the margin for futures contracts based on what their systems expect how volatile the markets are. So you'll often see markets that are considered more volatile, like potentially micro Bitcoin futures or crude oil futures, or other futures that are more thinly traded. You'll often find that the margin requirements are quite high compared to other discount brokers that you might find. So personally, margins are high for futures. If you look at the more liquidly traded futures like ES, NASDAQ, Russell 2000, potentially corn or other commodities, you'll find that the margins are pretty close to the exchange margin, which is actually what the right number is. How much the exchange requires you to put up in capital to trade that futures contract. So you'll find that their margins are pretty much in line with that. They do not have intraday margins for futures contracts. Now, when it comes to trading stocks, you'll get Reg T margin, which is normally about 25% to 50% capital requirement for that particular stock. The way you can see that is in a watch list, bring up the symbol and then double click on the symbol, and you'll get this description that pops up, and it'll tell you the margin requirements right here. Initial, in this case, 30%. If you want to see other examples of that, go check out my margin video, but basically it would look something like this. In your portfolio window, let's say in your account you have $100,000, you bought $100,000 of stock, your USD cash balance is going to be negative 100,000. you're gonna be long a stock in like AMD, your maintenance level is gonna tell you how much the broker is requiring you for your existing open positions in the account. And if that is consistent with the 30% number we saw, it should say about 30,000 there for about $100,000 stock position. Again, it's give or take, but if you start typing in more remotely traded stocks or even small cap stocks that people are trading, like if I do a quick scan here, stock scanner, I like their scanners, by the way. I did a video on that, check it out right there. The scanner TWS is pretty good. So if I go ahead and volume greater than 500K, and let's say I put up a filter in this scanner and I put in capitalization, which would be market cap, and capitalization less than, let's say, 700 million, and let's search now, and I'm going to show you an example of a small cap stock. So you can see in this case, long is 30%, short is 100%. Yeah, so often guys, you'll find that with certain small caps, especially hard to borrow stocks, you're not going to really get much leverage capabilities with IB. That's one of the main downsides. So if you're looking for leverage on small caps, probably won't find it. Other thing is hard to borrow stocks. This is an important topic. I personally have a friend back home that's his bread and butter, small caps on the short side. And I'll tell you one thing, the only way that you can get locates on IB is if you have a portfolio margin account. A portfolio margin account requires a minimum net liquidity of 100,000 USD. And when you have that type of account, you might be able to get access to what's called a locate tool, a tool that allows you to pre-borrow shares for shorting. Number one, in my country, they don't allow the portfolio margin account. And because of that, we do not have access to the pre-borrow shares for shorting tool. And the way you can see that is if you right click on a stock and then go to trade, you should see an option called pre-borrow shares for shorting. If you have a portfolio margin account, this might work for you. So if I click there, you'll normally get this pop up here which says cannot locate appropriate SBL definition, but it'll bring up that window that you saw there called stock borrow loan, and you can also get it by going to new window, more advanced tools, stock borrow loan. And this is, I think, what's called their locate tool, and I have not ever been able to use it, I guess based on where my account is open from. But if you guys have, definitely comment below and let us know your experience using this, potentially using it to locate hard to borrow shares. I personally don't know many small cap traders. The one that I know that's his bread and butter uses a different broker because it's not available in Canada, what I just described, okay? I would say for IBKR in general, guys, not the best broker for small caps. You have to carefully check if the portfolio margin account is available in your country, and also remember that the portfolio margin account requires a minimum 100K USD as the balance. So yeah. Now, one thing I like about TWS that I think a lot of other traders like is that they recently have an integration with TradingView, okay? You pull up these new charts in TWS, right? This is called an advanced chart. Some of you guys like this. I had a friend that told me to test it out in the beta like at least 9 months ago, and I did not even look close to it. This is in TWS latest version here. So we have these things called advanced charts. It's basically a TradingView chart inside of TWS. It gives you a nicer looking chart. Personally, I think they're good. Would I use it? No. Because you guys know me, I trade futures, I use Sierra chart, a different software, different type of analysis, all that stuff. I've been working on my analysis strategies for years to the point where everything is mostly custom developed. I don't use existing indicators that people use, I use my own indicators. So this for me doesn't really make a difference for me. How I use TWS, like I said, it's for getting options data, getting stocks data, buying and selling stocks, portfolio management. And then the other thing is pulling the data out of their API, which is very interesting. TWS API, which is for developers. To finish the discussions about margins, guys, one thing about IB is that they have very strict liquidation policies. If your account is no longer margin compliant, they are going to warn you very fast. As soon as your excess liquidity is about 15% away from your maintenance margin, you will receive a notification, an email informing you about this. And 15% is actually quite a large cushion, I would say. It's a large enough cushion that you have time to react, to fund your account with additional funds if you have positions that are going against you very, very fast. They will close your positions if your account is reaching a point where it is no longer margin compliant. Basically, if your excess liquidity is in the negative, they will liquidate you. very fast. They're strict with it. You're not going to be able to start calling them and negotiating. It doesn't work like that. This is a big ticket broker. This is not a small discount broker where you could say, hey buddy, I'll fund you in a week. Nah, bro, they're going to liquidate you, and fast. And for that reason, again, partly a double-edged sword. I personally think IB is a pretty safe broker. Now, they even have certain policies and information you can read on their website about how much they insure in the case that they were to ever go bankrupt. And I think it's something like 10 million USD in assets per account, although it might be more, might be less, I'm not 100% sure. Keep that in mind. Strict margin policies, I personally think it makes them less likely to go under at any point, and they also have lost money in the past, like when crude oil went negative. So, you know, they know what it is to be in the brokerage industry. They've been in it for a while. All right, last two things I'm going to talk about here is currency conversion and tax forms. Currency conversion is one of the strong points of IBKR, in my opinion. They support most of the major currencies, so euros, British pounds, Swiss francs, Mexican pesos, USD, Canadian, and a couple others for sure. They do not have more foreign currencies like Colombian pesos or Costa Rican colones. You're not going to find them. Where you will find that is on Wise, another service that I use for cross-border banking, and I'm going to do a video talking about my experience using Wise to pay for stuff in foreign countries, because I've had a very good experience with it thus far. IB is a very good broker for currency conversion. However, I would recommend you to test in the demo account first to see how much commission you're going to pay. Because as you can see here, I did a test with USD JPY, and the commission fee per trade for 200,000 USD was like $597, which I'm really not sure if that's accurate or if that's in JPY. If some of you guys trade the USD against the JPY, let me know if that's an accurate number, because that does not look accurate at all. And this is indeed a demo account that I'm using to test. I did an example on Euro USD, and I bought 100,000, and you can see that the commission is $2.17 per trade, and that's close to pretty much what I found most of the time it is. So if I come into here and I sell 300K worth of USD CAD, and I'll just hit the bid and trade it, you can see that our commission fee was $8.16. So I think it's proportionate a little bit to the amount that you're trading, although it's quite low. Compare how much they will charge you for a 300K transaction of fiat currency, and I can guarantee you that it's going to be a lot higher than $8 for a fee. Okay, and that's considering that we're able to trade right on the spot rate practically. So that's one good thing about IB, is that when you're trading Forex with them, you're getting a rate that's right around the spot rate. For sure, you don't get like to the last tick of the pair. If I go to new window book trader and you look at the book trader, which is basically the order book, you'll see kind of the spread of how it moves around, and it's often in these 5 tick increments or 5 pips, however you want to call them. So another thing that I realized about this is if you want to trade Forex with IB, I wouldn't really do it for short-term day trading, because you never really get the spread advantage, at least from what I have seen. Your order, let's say you submit a buy order, the spread needs to cross your order for you to be filled. Now, maybe this changes if you submit a really large order, they give you some priority or whatever, but I'm really not so sure about that. Normally, this is used for currency conversion, and when you do currency conversion, you can submit a market order. So if you're buying, you're buying the ask. If you're selling the bid. And then the other thing to keep in mind is that the commission fee is per trade. So if you want to submit, multiple buys and multiple sells, you're going to pay a commission for each time you do that. Whereas if you do one big buy, or if you use in their software, they have a scale feature. In that case, you'll be able to scale in and it'll be recorded as one trade in their software. And that's something to look into. Now, I did do a video on Scale Trader way back, but it's good to know. The other thing I'll just briefly talk about is if you need to get tax forms, they provide them to you at the end of the year based on your jurisdiction and the country that you're in. So that's something really good. They give you all your tax forms. You can just download them right off the client portal and provide them straight to your accountant. So that's something I find very convenient with IBKR. I'm going to be continuing to use IBKR for my asset management for personal funds as well as institutional assets. And If anything changes, I will definitely let you guys know, but I pretty much showed you in this video how I personally use IB. I mostly use it for portfolio management and the economic calendar and different tools that TWS offers me. And one day I want to play more with their TWS API, getting options data out of it. And I have done a bit of it. You can check out that video too, although pretty busy, so one thing at a time. All right, guys, let me know if you enjoyed this video. I really appreciate you guys watching this video today. And if you guys want to check out more IBKR videos, check them out right here in this playlist. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Much appreciated. Cheers.